What's good, guys? Today we're gonna be reacting to a style theory for once. Normally I react to game theory and film theory, but this one had a very interesting title. As of recording it came out like less than an hour ago. This one is entitled Film Theory, or Style Theory. I'm gonna mess that up a couple times. Style Theory, the cult following of Taylor Swift. Let's get straight into the video, because it is 18 minutes long.
It's me. Hi, I'm the theorist. It's me. At theory time, everybody agrees. I'll prove pop icons are the ones brainwashing all their fandoms. Trust me, it's exhausting, always trashing someone else's hero.
Oh god. This is gonna be
Hello, Internet!
long
Welcome to Style Theory, the channel that's gonna find out where the scarf is once and for all. I've got my eyes on you, Jake. If you've been on the internet at all over the past couple months, you've probably heard about Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. From the TikTok outfit reveals to the Ticketmaster presale controversy, this thing has been impossible to avoid. Now, gotta be honest with you, as much of a pop culture fanatic as I am, never really considered myself a hardcore Swiftie. If you see me in headphones, I'm usually bopping around to some Broadway cast recording. Raul Esparza, you are a legend. But it's hard to deny the mega platform, multi-generational success of Tay-Tay. And I do mean multi-generational. Taylor has gotten herself a lock on millennials, Zoomers, heck, even Gen Alpha. And I know that one personally since my son Ollie is a die-hard Taylor stan at the age of 4.
Talk to my friends, talk to me.
Meanwhile, the rest of Team Theorist over here are literally flying across the country to see Taylor's latest concert. Honestly, I don't know what's more surprising about that fact. The extreme level of commitment they have to see a concert, or the fact that they have lives outside of their jobs. Note to self, deal with that one later. The rabid fandom that's happening here, and that's frankly been happening for about a decade, is so strong that it almost
16
feels like a
years?
conspiracy. And you all know how I love me a conspiracy. So in my efforts to connect with my son and simultaneously get an invite to the next cross-country office concert trip, not that I was feeling left out or anything, I've been doing a fair bit of Taylor Swift research over the last few months, and it started to come to my attention that music isn't the only thing that surrounds her. Nope, her history also has itself a heaping helping of my favorite thing, lore. And where there is lore, I'm ready to spring into action swiftly. So why am I talking about this on a style channel? Well, much to my surprise, her lore isn't so much told through her songs and music, but rather through what she's wearing and how she looks. Today we're cracking open the vault of secrets to what built the cult of Taylor Swift, and how it all comes down to one thing, fashion. And now Taylor is just the latest in a long line of celebrities from Madonna to Markiplier who figured out that you either have to change or you die. For those of you who need a little backstory here, Taylor Swift started off in her early days as a country singer turned pop star. It's actually an incredibly common pathway to break into the extremely competitive world of pop stardom through another musical genre. Since then, she's released 10 unique studio albums and 2 re-recordings over the past 16 years, all culminating in this latest big event, the Eras Tour, a 3+ hour record-smashing Swift spectacle where Taylor literally dives into the stage, swims under it, creates a tidal wave, and then emerges on the other side in a brand new costume. It is extra in all the best ways possible. In the immortal words of Hope Scope,
I went to the Taylor Swift Eras concert and I'm unwell.
but speaking of those costumes, Taylor wears a new one every time she transitions through the 10 major albums of her music, her eras. Get it? And these aren't just outfits with some shiny sequins and fringe to highlight a few punchy dance moves. Oh no. These costumes are stories. They're statements. And they are secret signals to the audience. This has been the key to Taylor's success, and it's been telegraphed through her songs the entire time. Let's start at the beginning. When she was first getting her start as a 16-year-old back in 2006, she was an all-American country girl, complete with cowboy boots, curls, and let's call it questionable southern twang.
You're in the room with him and you can feel it. There's a power there and you're just like, oh my God. So I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I won't see him and be like, oh my God.
But it wasn't enough just to be wearing the look, she also had to sing about it. Her first album's lead single, Tim McGraw for instance, immediately associates Taylor with specific articles of clothing. Quote, when you think happiness, I hope you think that little black dress. Think of my head on your chest and my old faded blue jeans. Man, reading lyrics just kills them, doesn't it?
Right.
Outfits are
It does not
memories.
feel
They're
right.
moments in time. By her second album, Fearless, her style had matured slightly. The cowboy boots stayed, but gone were the jeans and in were the sundresses. clothes. This worked perfectly when she was trying to break into the early 2000s country scene against a lineup of Faith Hills and Leanne Rimeses and Carrie Underwoods, who all had themselves a signature pattern of boho chic, a mix of bohemian, hippie, and vintage elements that was all the rage at the time. Except Taylor approached this popular trend with her own twist, keeping it inexpensive, the type that you could find sold at your local Walmart.
Yeah.
Quote from her, "I always thought if I were to ever do a fashion line, I wouldn't want to do clothes that girls like me and girls my age couldn't afford." In short, Taylor was tapping into words that were about to become the buzzwords for the next decade: relatable and authentic. If you've been trolling around the internet for a long time like I have, you know that from 2005 to 2015, the only word on anyone's mind was authentic. Authenticity is king, they all said. Brands wanted authentic influencers. This stuff was everywhere. And over there in music land, you had Taylor, who understood the assignment to a capital T. In appearances, her wardrobe looked like clothes any high schooler would be wearing because that was her target audience. She was pretty enough to be your aspirational friend, the one you were proud to be seen with, but also normal enough that you could see yourself geeking out with her in biology class talking about the cute boy in the corner. Her brand was built on clothes just as much as it was on the music. If you listen to her best known songs from this era, a lot of them just reinforce the relatability angle, literally talking about the clothes that she's wearing. In You Belong With Me, the lyrics literally create an us versus them dynamic. She wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. And then again later, she wears high heels, I wear sneakers. Taylor is not the cool kid. She's not the fashionista one. She's not the popular girl. She's here for you. She is one of you. And people are gonna buy a lot of tickets to a concert that's for them and by them. Enough tickets that it would push her to become the youngest ever winner of the Grammy Awards. Unfortunately, or fortunately
Until
for
Billie
Taylor, you
Eilish
can't just be
won
the
it.
relatable underdog forever, especially when you're selling millions of copies and filling up stadiums. Distinctly hashtag unrelatable there, Tay-Tay. With Speak Now out in 2010, Taylor tried on a few other styles, the spiteful X in black and the fairy tale princess waiting for her prince, but in the end she still came back to the tried and true iconic early Taylor Swift style. But each time she came back to it, it started to work less and less well.
Yeah.
Eventually by 2011, Taylor Swift and her cutesy country girl shtick was old news, and it became the butt of every joke from tabloids to SNL.
Now Taylor Swift is here.
And Taylor herself could sense that she needed to change or die.
At 22, I was already watching newer, cooler artists come out every week. It was an interesting sort of wrestling match with my own fears of remaining stagnant that made Red the kind of joyride that it ended up being.
Enter the Red era. In 2012, the 22-year-old Taylor underwent her first major transformation. Gone were her iconic curls, replaced with straight hair and bangs. Gone were the cowboy boots, and in were kitten heels and lace-up Oxfords. Her style was now retro, vintage, classic, a vibe that perfectly matched the aesthetics of another rising star in this period, not a pop star, a platform. Instagram. Launched just 2 years earlier, Instagram was redefining aesthetics. By 2012, it had accumulated 30 million users. It was on the verge of being acquired by Facebook. And the biggest trend on the platform? Hashtag Throwback Thursday, where old retro vintage photographs were being shared to the masses.
Thursday,
Even Taylor's own first Instagram post was a throwback, an antique photo of her grandmother. In short, Throwback Thursdays were the perfect blending of old nostalgic vibes and the modern new social media revolution. And Taylor's style then became the embodiment of that vibe. Young enough for the hip millennials on the platform, but also safe enough for the old guard. In this style evolution, Taylor sent the message that she was classic and established, but also something brand new. And while the abrupt change in her personal style worried the fans and the label, it worked. Red was a hashtag moment. Her hipster meets classic Hollywood vibe became fashion inspiration for fans. And again, it's not like she was hiding this fact either. Her link to this moment in fashion is literally the opening line of the song 22 from the album.
It feels like a perfect night to dress up like hipsters.
Taylor was no longer just a country music sweetheart, she was now a general music icon. But if Red wasn't a big enough shift for you, take a look at 1989. That cover remind you anything? Well, if you were posting selfies back in 2014, it should. This is the artsy, vintage-inspired aesthetic that dominated the mid-2010s. Polaroids were specifically huge on social media sites, especially Instagram and Tumblr. Between washed-out filters and setting white borders on your photos, the vintage yet city chic vibe was hashtag goals. And Taylor, looking to rebrand as a pop star, was ready to take her style to the next level. New sound, new look. So she cut her hair into a long bob, put on some red lips and rosy cheeks, just like she sings about in the song Wildest Dreams from the album, and fully embraced that New York City chic. The old Taylor was officially dead, long before it ever ended up in a song. And it's here that her career exploded. She was everywhere, walking runways with models and rubbing elbows with the stars at the Met Gala. I think this clip largely sums it up.
Taylor Swift is the music industry.
And it was all because she'd figured
At one
out how to
point,
play the
when
game.
she
People couldn't get
changes-
enough of the new Taylor. And she didn't just rock the streets with her cat eyes and bright outfits either, she rocked the internet. If you weren't there at the time, you might not have known that Taylor Swift was an actual Tumblr icon. She dominated the realm of flower crowns and gift sets, posting pictures of her iconic looks, childhood photos, and
Oh my
casual
God.
snapshots of her life. Tay-Tay was talking about everything from funny videos to cookie recipes to cats, especially cats. But most importantly,
Especially
Taylor's
cats.
online profile showed that she had changed alongside her fan base. Her online presence, down to the filter, had a vibe that online Swifties loved. Taylor Swift wasn't just a pop star anymore, she was an online style influencer, and one that you wanted to be friends with. By the way, Taylor, if you want to be buds, my DMs are open. Only down to share cat pictures. My cat is pretty cute. At MattPatGT, MattPatGT. Just
Oh
put
my
that one out
God,
into
yeah.
the universe. After 1989, the album, not the year, Taylor underwent her biggest reinvention yet, trading the bright colors for blacks and her smooth, controlled bob for wild grunge curls. And while the impetus for this was an ongoing feud against Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, this was, and would remain to this day, the most drastic change of look from anything that she'd tried before. More rock and roll and less pop princess, with baggier silhouettes of bomber jackets and cargo pants replacing the bodycon sets. She was a woman ready to go to war. This was the Reputation era, where we see her literally bury her old self and depict all her past personas actively clawing their way to the top of the heap.
Y'all, oh, stop acting like you're all nice. You are so fake.
Suddenly, her reinventions, her past styles, despite being killed off, were given a new life. They existed on their own in a way that felt new and unique. Suddenly, Taylor wasn't just a singer, she had a narrative arc. She had herself characters. She had lore. And honestly, this is the pattern of how her career would continue to evolve from this point forward. Every new album doesn't just mean new music, it means new style. A brand new Taylor to add to that character roster. You could literally do a Super Smash Bros. Roster out of Taylor
Super
Swift
Swift Bros.
personas. And while I could certainly go into depth into each and every one of these different eras and their respective styles, I think you get the point. That said, there is one last era that I want to call out. You see, when COVID hit, her Lover tour was cut short, forcing her to pivot yet again. This time she went full-blown cottagecore with her next two albums, Folklore and Evermore, complete with fluffy braids, oversized coats, flowing ruffle dresses, and woodsy landscapes. And these two albums appealed to one group in particular, Gen Z. Having conquered every millennial out there, it was time to get herself a new audience. Cottagecore was all over 2020's TikTok, with Indian folk artists becoming more popular on the platform. And with the pandemic being, the pandemic, those cottagecore escapist vibes were a big help for those stuck in isolation. Their success, and Taylor seeing that success and then transforming herself in order to ride off of it, created a new generation of Swifties, giving Miss Taylor a massive TikTok fan base. And then came Midnights with its lavender, hazy 70s glam, full of vintage-inspired knitwear and soft color palettes, and bringing Taylor to a full set of 10 distinct reinventions under her belt. So, while Taylor's music is certainly iconic, it's arguable that her smartest work to date has been done in her closet, making sure that people who are listening to her music, or even people not listening, know exactly who she is and see a version of themselves or whatever's trendy reflected back at them when they look at her. In the Eras Tour, we actually see this come to life literally, as fans come to the concert dressed up in their favorite eras, recreating iconic looks from award shows, music videos, even clips of her high on painkillers after surgery. Yes, that is a real thing. They were there for the music, sure, but they showed up in the fashion because that's what they can physically embody. That is the tangible element to all of this. So what if I told you none of it was accidental? Taylor laid the groundwork and then, just like clockwork, the dominoes cascaded in a line. And now you're hers.
It's
all by design.
smart.
In a lot of
but
ways, Taylor Swift has
she
been a
definitely did it on
mastermind this
purpose.
entire time. Oh sure, any true Swiftie can tell you that she secretly hid the image of a snake in her 1989 album, or that 13 is her favorite number since it's been hidden in almost every album that she's written. There's even that time that she hinted about being in Avengers Endgame.
There were some fans that thought I had something to do with Avengers Endgame.
Okay, maybe I misread that one. But in the end, her most important secret messages to fans have been hidden in plain sight. In the clothes that she's worn, the fashion aesthetics that she's embodied, and the ways that she's talked about clothing and fashion in her songs to relate to the fans and identify herself. But the real reveal in this episode here is that Taylor's model isn't actually Taylor's model. In fact, for as many areas as we consider her to be groundbreaking, it's Taylor who's taken her cue from other people this time. Just like with fashion, pop stardom is a cycle of history. Just like low-rise jeans come into style and hopefully go out of style again soon, pop stars also come into style, and over time, the next new trend comes in to replace them. By being smart like Taylor, you can make that cycle as long as possible, potentially even decades long. But unfortunately, the need to reinvent yourself is nothing new. This is especially true in the world of female pop singers. The reality is that the music stardom machine is unforgiving. There are thousands of talented singers lining up behind every Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, and Taylor Swift, all ready to swoop in at the first sign that their successes might be wavering. So in order to stay on top, you not only have to keep your music new, you have to keep yourself as a person new. The Netflix documentary Miss Americana does a great job of actually talking about how reinventing your style as a pop singer isn't a matter of fun, it's a matter of survival. In other words, when we see pop stars like Taylor reinventing themselves, it's because audience burnout and boredom are constantly chasing them. It's not about finding something new and cool in your wardrobe, it's about staying ahead of becoming obsolete. If you think I'm exaggerating, name for me some top female musicians that have withstood the test of time. I asked around the office and the two most frequent answers wound up being Beyonce and Madonna. Well, look at their histories of fashion and music and you'll see them model the exact pattern that Taylor's following now. For instance, when Beyonce began her career with Destiny's Child, she wore classic R&B inspired ensembles to match the rest of the group. But as soon as she went solo, she immediately transitioned to bodycon dresses and stilettos. A few years later, she launched a whole new persona, Sasha Fierce, along with a completely different ultra fierce fashion aesthetic that included black leather and oversized jewelry. With the release of Lemonade later on, Beyonce shifted her fashion sense again into a heavy Southern Gothic style, and African fabrics that made her fashion and her political values her brand. Then there's Madonna, the OG, the queen of reinvention. I would even go so far as to say that she may have set the rule for the reinvention roadmap well before anyone realized what she was doing. From the beginning as a Marilyn Monroe-esque material girl to a rebellious wild child doing not monetization-friendly things in religious attire, to her stint as a dance pop cowboy and then as a 50-year-old pimp grinding up on the dance floor at the local club, Madonna set the stage for exactly what we're seeing Taylor Swift do now. It's a career that managed to span over 40 years, which honestly sounds exhausting. If I was Madonna, I'd be retired on a beach somewhere where no one can ever ask me who am I wearing ever again. Seriously, aren't you valued at like $1 billion at this point, Madonna? You could take a break. You don't have to be going around on Jimmy Fallon trying to use the word swag unironically.
And look swag as, you know what?
It's not just musicians either. You're starting to see it happen right here on YouTube. Which YouTubers have had the most staying power on the platform? Well, what I think we can all agree on is Markiplier. Mark, like a lot of creators, has lived many lives online, gone through his own eras. There was early Mark, rainbow hair Mark, Unis Honest Mark, and now we're in his tired era of hoodies and fluffy hair. Personally, I'm a fan of this one. And these physical reinventions lined up with the changes in his life and his content. From moving from only Let's Plays to larger scale projects like Heist with Markiplier to the legend that was Unis Honest. Now he's trying his hand at the big screen, starring in and producing a fully fledged feature film. It's no wonder he's in his tired era. And when you look back, the pattern's clear. If you want to succeed and stay relevant, you need to become someone new or your career is as good as dead. Had Taylor stuck to her country roots and never shaken up her look, tried something new, there's a high likelihood that we wouldn't be talking about her right now.
The female artists that I know of have reinvented themselves 20 times more than the male artists. They have to. Constantly having to reinvent, constantly finding new facets of yourself that people find to be shiny.
It's a constant cycle of having to be new and exciting. It's Beyonce becoming Sasha Fierce. It's Madonna turning into Madam X. It's Taylor burying herself or Markiplier switching to Darkiplier. So is Taylor and all artists and other creators like her destined to have to find new and interesting styles, new versions of themselves forever? Yeah, I think they do, especially if they want to continue to stay relevant, if they want to continue to grow. That's just how audiences work. The new is always going to replace the old. You evolve or you stagnate. You change or you wither. You move first, otherwise everyone else is gonna move past you. And for as dire as that might sound, I don't think it's as bad as it seems. Creatives seem to thrive on this. If Taylor really hated having to constantly reinvent her style, why would she create a giant concert event celebrating exactly that? I gotta admit, as the newly indoctrinated Swiftie that I am, I look forward to seeing what the new reinvention of her brings on the other side of eras. I have my fingers crossed for Gamer Chic. Or who knows, maybe she'll just cash out and turn herself into an animatronic. But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp.
Really?
And if weird
what?
pop star trivia is what's on the menu for you today, click the box on the right to learn why taking a bite out of...
Yeah, we're not... Okay. I really thought he was going to say they don't have to change, because I really would think they don't have to stay relevant, especially at this point. Like, at this point, everyone's going to know Markiplier. Everyone's going to know Taylor Swift. Like, I don't feel like they should have to change so much, but they do. And that's the gist of it. So, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. This was a bit of a different video, but yeah. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Peace out, everyone.